be back for about an hour's worth of prime reverse pitches. So thanks, everybody.
Defense contractor in the world now after the merger of what was then L3 and Harris Corporation just about a year ago. And we like to pride ourselves on the investment that we make in innovation and internal research and development. I think we do more innovation and more R&D than any of our peers in the marketplace. Next slide, please. L3 Harris Technologies, the merged company, has 4 segments. I'm going to take you for a tour of those segments now. The first one is called Integrated Mission Systems. And the products, the major product lines for this business segment is listed on the right here, including ISR, maritime products, electronic systems for integration of large naval platforms, for example, and electro-optical products, including EO and IR sensors, laser imaging, and targeting systems. Next slide, please. The second segment I want to tell you about is space and airborne systems. Here's where space technology and new space technology happens within the merged company. As you can see, space and airborne systems, the segment that I work in, has a $4.7 billion 2019 revenue. In addition to space payload sensors and full mission solutions for civil and commercial customers and national security customers, we also do a lot of intelligence and cyber work, in addition to electronic warfare work. So the electronic warfare and F-35 avionics core competencies reside in the space and airborne systems segment. Next slide, please. Third, communication systems. Probably the public-facing segment of the merged company. Those Harris tactical radios that you see public safety officers holding, first responders holding, and soldiers using in the field are the bread and butter of the communication systems in the new L3 Harris technology. So we build tactical radios, SATCOM terminals, battlefield management networks, in addition to broadband communication systems, night vision systems, and much more in a $4.3 billion business. Next slide, please. The last segment that I'll tell you about is aviation systems. This is also just under $4 billion in 2019 revenue. We actually make UAVs, and this is the segment that does it. In addition to UAVs, we produce precision engagement sensors and systems. We design RF amplifiers, microwave devices, and commercial aviation products to keep the skies safe. And major customers include the FAA and international air safety organizations as well. Next slide, please. Think about partnering with L3 Harris. What I want you to know is that we are technology leaders in some of the areas that you see here. We produce actionable intelligence, full spectrum sensors, spectrum superiority in terms of everything you need to maneuver in the electromagnetic spectrum from DC to daylight. We produce products for warfighter effectiveness, and we innovate for safe and secure skies. So on those lists that you see here, think about partnering with L3 Harris and taking advantage of our technology leadership to advance your mission. Next slide. Lastly, I encourage you to engage with L3 Harris. Visit our new website, l3harris.com. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, and thanks for your attention.
Awesome. Jeremy, great. I just want to say, I think for other corporates out there, that was one of the cleanest reverse pitches I've seen. Not, very well thought out to describe exactly what the business lines are. So I think very easy for our startups to follow. So thank you for that. With that, we'll go ahead and move on here, and we're going to invite Boeing's Horizon X Ventures to talk a little bit about Boeing and how they look at the startup ecosystem and innovation. So I believe we have Greer here online. There we go. Gunnar, are you promoting him here? All right. There we go. We can hear you, and feel free to turn on your video as well if you like.
Hello, Will. Hello, everyone. This is Greer Carper from Boeing Horizon X Ventures speaking. It's good to see all you today, albeit virtually, and want to talk to you a little bit about Boeing Horizon X and Boeing Horizon X Ventures. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide, talk about Horizon X. Boeing Horizon X is an enterprise level organization that is about 3 years old at this point. I think to best understand what we do as an innovation entity is to understand our mission statement, which is to find opportunities that Boeing business units would or could not pursue on their own, but which still fall within strategic scope of the company. we provide levers or mechanisms, if you will, to do things differently than how things would traditionally be done, be it within our defense business, our service business, or our commercial business. We have 3 teams within Horizon X. We have our market development organization, which is a external-facing sales and marketing team that really is going after non-traditional opportunities that typically wouldn't fall within the purview of our traditional businesses. We have Disruptive Horizons, which looks at disruptive technologies and business models that may have an impact on our given product line or future product development roadmap. And then lastly, we have Boeing Ventures, which is the team that I'm a part of. Now, if we go to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about Boeing Horizon X Ventures and what we do. With Boeing Horizon X Ventures, we focus on investing and partnering with innovative startups around the world, creating a bridge to the future of aerospace. We appreciate that innovation happens not just within large companies like Boeing, but across academia, across the startup and small business communities, and not just the United States, but globally as well. And so we are Boeing's corporate venture capital fund, and we make minority equity investments to startups in small companies. Let's go to the next chart and talk a little bit about how we're structured. And I think it will provide some insight into how we operate as a concern. We have about 20 individuals within Horizon X Ventures, split up across 2 different teams. We have our investment team, which is the team that I'm a part of. We're a much more of a traditional VC outfit in that respect. We're looking for startups that have an attractive ROI, that have a solid right to win, that have a great go-to-market strategy. And we go through a due diligence process, not so dissimilar to traditional VCs, in selecting and vetting companies to potentially add to our portfolio. We always ask the question of why Boeing when we look at a startup, and that can be from what value Boeing can bring to bear to that startup to help them be more successful, or help them to mature the technology faster, or go to market in a more efficient manner. Alternatively, we also will ask the question of what can that startup bring to bear for Boeing that may provide some kind of differentiation, be it to an individual program or to a future technology development effort, or even access into markets that we traditionally wouldn't go after. Now, all of those examples I just gave are built upon a hypothesis as to why we have a strategic rationale in making an investment into a startup. And one of the things that we've learned over time, particularly from the oil and gas startup or CVC community out there, that just because a big company invests in you all as a startup doesn't mean the big company is actually going to do anything with said startup. As a huge enterprise with lots of different businesses and lots of different priorities, we appreciate that that we as a CVC need to provide an ability to understand who they should be talking to, a startup talking to our business units, what the potential of opportunities may or may not look like. And that team is our portfolio development team. They are a dedicated liaison between the startup and small company and the Boeing business units. And they're kind of playing arbiter of whether or not an opportunity or an engagement is really worth the time and effort, both on the Boeing side and, more importantly, on the startup side as well. We appreciate that startups have a finite amount of time and resources, and that for every meeting they take with us that doesn't go anywhere, that's one less meeting that they have with some other potential customer or partner that may have a higher P-win in its success. And so that portfolio development team is really vetting those opportunities, understanding that there's budget available, and if not, providing budget, providing charge lines to the engineers, the program managers to facilitate collaboration between startups and our various businesses. Across this, we have 4 main focus areas, and so we're on that right now. We have mobility transformation, which is the thematic that I focus on the most. That includes all things electrification, autonomous systems, advanced logistics, advanced mobilities, alternative power systems. We have a space and connectivity thematic, which focuses on satellites, connectivity technology, including 5G, ground control station services for satellite constellations, and launch services. We also have Industry 4.0, which is really around AI, machine learning, and IoT around the factory floor use cases. That also includes a most certainly an additive manufacturing component to it, as we appreciate that for aerospace, we're doing a lot of complex things, but not a high production run. And so additive most certainly is attractive in certain use cases, particularly around tooling and the like. And then finally, we have digital acceleration, which also covers AI machine learning. It also covers heterogeneous computing, non-traditional computing. So think about non-Van Neumann architectures and semiconductors. Thinking about quantum computing, quantum sensing, these new emerging approaches to computing that may have significant impact on aerospace going forward. Moving on to the next chart. Here's kind of an overview of some of the startups we've invested in to date. We've invested in 25 startups thus far. We can lead, we can be part of a syndicate. We typically invest in late seed to Series B, B+. Our check size is between 1 and 10 million. We typically do participate in follow-ons as well. And we have to have both a good financial ROI of why we invest in the company, but also the strategic one. And that requires some discipline. I'll tell you, we've passed on a lot of startups that had a lot of good prospects and were quite successful in their endeavors, but there just wasn't a strong rationale there. And so we go through that journey whenever we speak with new startups on what is that strategic rationale. Lastly, moving on to the last chart, I want to create a little bit of differentiation here. We have Boeing Horizon Next, which I've just spoken about. We have a sister organization called Boeing Next, which is more on the engineering and program management side of things. They are the development teams building out some of these next generation air vehicle platforms and solutions within the enterprise. They also do some pretty cool modeling and simulation for advanced air mobility, which would include both commercial and defense use cases. And lastly, many of our next generation mobility platforms are also being built out of there as well. We work very closely with that organization, and as they are utilizing many of the technologies and capabilities that our portfolio companies are bringing to bear in our new platform development activities. And so that's kind of an overview of where we are with Boeing Horizon X and Boeing Next. I want to thank Will for your time and turn it back over to you.
Awesome. Great exhaustive description of it. Very thorough. So I appreciate that sharing with everybody. We'll move on here to Ultra now. And we have Ken Phillips, who should be in the room. And I think we're just going to promote him into panelist here. And we'll get him up on the screen.
Okay, right. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Hey, good afternoon from Austin, Texas, and thanks for this opportunity to pitch Ultra. Special thanks to the brothers and sisters at L3 Harris for having to knock it out of the park in the initial pitch and make it difficult for, at least for me, to follow. I'll do the best I can. I don't normally talk off script. I'm sorry, I don't normally talk on script, but in deference to time and to try and keep this within the window of time that I've been given, I'm going to read some stuff to you, so bear with me as I do that. So again, my name's Ken Phillips. I'm focused on our innovation outreach to grow new business. We are innovating today for a safer tomorrow. Ultra is a nearly $1.5 billion business with 15 specialized and localized business units spread around the globe to Canada, Australia, the UK, and the US. Most are here in the US, and North America accounts for over half of our revenue. Nearly all of our business is exclusively focused on security and defense applications. We spend almost 20% of our revenue on research and development, both internally and in scouting new, innovative, early stage technology and enablers. Next slide, please. So, some of the tools that we provide today may not be very familiar to you, but let me highlight a few. So going around the horn from this, starting in the top left corner, you'll see some of our current products, starting with a variety of customized integrated circuits for any manner of system monitoring, control, navigational guidance, and so on. To the right, and sort of behind that is the Orion multi-nodal mesh networked tactical radio. That's a mouthful. Next is a screenshot from the HMI used to configure, control, and maintain a tactical data link network using the Air Defense Systems Integrator. In the top right is the underwing pod called REAP, that delivers airborne range extension of radios and other communications in denied environments. And below that is the TACView command and control user interface displayed in use in a particular combat theater of operations at a combined air and space operations center. In the bottom left represents an integrated communications network training, test, and evaluation system that employs live, virtual, constructive environment and showcases our ability to partner with other innovators to deliver much needed capabilities. Next slide, please. These tools and others like them work together to deliver unprecedented connectivity and operational effectiveness across the battle space. But the situation is, of course, not without its challenges or without its opportunities. Broadly speaking, the greater ultra, so the bigger picture of us, delivers capabilities in electronic circuits that are miniaturized, low size, weight, power, and cost. We deliver undersea surveillance, including hydroacoustic transducers and sensors. We deliver wireless communications and sensing systems. And we do integrated decision systems that include artificial intelligence and machine learning, applying data sciences for big data analytics, all of which is to discover new insights and make battlefield decisions happen faster and more effectively. A great example of the current challenges is the promise of artificial intelligence to deliver new efficiencies, new discovery, a deeper understanding to the highly complex and usually austere environment our security and defense forces have to operate in. Next slide, please. So our innovative focus is centered on supporting our 5 major business areas, those being communications, command, control, and intelligence, cyber, specialist RF, or radio frequency, and maritime. So we are exploring innovation in delivering both AI capabilities, that is the algorithms to reach inside complex and scaled data sets and deliver understanding from that, and the mechanisms to build, train, and deploy those algorithms. We're looking at novel ways to deliver increasingly more effective and efficient embedded computing and ways to combine those with machine learning so that systems in use can learn their teammates' patterns and needs and then provide the answers before the questions are asked. Next slide, please. So you can see briefly, at least, how we come to the table with our experience in both technology transition in the defense industry and all that that entails. The integrators, the defense procurement system, the unique delivery requirements, and so on. We recognize that there are a lot of brilliant thinkers and doers out there who can help to bring their innovation to that same table. So we're in search of both early stage technology as well as more established intellectual property and the opportunity to partner to push that innovation into the user's hands. We're happy to discuss different ways we can move your technology forward. Ultra is in the process of standing up a company-wide innovation center headquartered here in Austin called Ultra Labs. One of the purposes of the labs is to serve as a resource for innovators to use to better understand how to move their technologies forward and a resource to help with that transition. So if you have any questions, my contact information is on the slide, and I'm happy to take any kind of questions, obviously offline. Thanks for your time.
Awesome. Ken, thanks so much for that. A great example, again, of not one of the obvious people you're going to get when you Google top 10 defense contractors, but Ultra does some really interesting stuff, and we're really glad to have you guys partnering with us today. So yeah, thanks very much. So I think we have now Tim Cunningham from Lido. So Tim, are you, you're all set here? Can you hear us?
Always an adventure in these, right? Hey, thanks. Appreciate you all giving me a chance to give you a quick introduction to Leidos and looking for ways to engage. I'm Tim Cunningham. I'm an operation chief technology officer in the defense group. I'll explain to you a little bit about what that means. And Leidos, if you're not familiar with us, we're a Fortune 500 company. We've got more than 50 years working mostly solutions to demanding customer problems, and then continuing with providing services to help customers, kind of continue to engage and utilize new technologies. We're currently made up of a little over 37,000 people, large technical workforce. About 2/3 of our company, our employees hold clearances. So that's kind of the nature of who we are. I'm going to give a really high pass here, of course, but plenty of this is in terms of the organization, and our technical focus areas are on the are on our website. So go take a look at that. I'll really plan to spend most of the time at the back end in terms of how we engage and how we look at external technology. So Gunnar, if you want to flip to the next one. So again, I'm going to focus today on defense, where I come from, but just to share, we have customers and work across all 4 of the markets you see here. We do about $3 billion a year in civil with air traffic control and security products and such. We do over $2 billion in health, including the national, doing a lot of staffing and work with the National Institutes of Health, and of course across a wide range of the intelligence community. So, you know, depending on your technology and the type of customers you're looking for, we're engaged across much more than defense. Go to the next one. You know, in terms of our defense portfolio, couple of stats here for you. You know, we're about a $3 billion defense business, a little more than that. Really, I think the key thing for us in this market is the duration of the relationships we have, where they go back, you know, the better part of a half century, back to you know, almost back to the start of the company in the late 60s. So it is through those long-term relationships that we're really able to build and engage with them and bring not just our technology, but our partners and understand their problems. So that's a key way we use our engagement with them to, you know, again, understand what their issues are and try to work really rapidly with them. If you go to the next chart, I'll slow down a little bit here and give you a couple of specific examples of some areas we work in out of the ones you see listed there. Leidos built and demonstrated the first autonomous ship for the Navy. It's called the Sea Hunter. We're really proud of it, and it's in demonstration events with the Navy now. And we are building with our team the second ship, the Seahawk, that we expect to see christened later this summer. So this is really an area where we're shaping the future of kind of naval warfare, both surface and undersea, and really we're focused on the autonomy and how those systems engage and are utilized within action teams and strike groups for how Navy missions will work in the future, utilizing these manned and unmanned platforms. Similarly, in the airborne domain, we bring together the full gamut of airborne ISR type of capabilities into systems, both where the platforms and the sensors are picked and specified by the Army or Air Force customers, and in other cases where we fly them on our own platforms. We have a fleet of aircraft and the ability, of course, to go select and, of course, integrate both the sensors for their combined ISR effects, but then how they work across a network and into the overall operational theater. I raised both Sea Hunter and Airborne ISR as examples, kind of picking up on what Dr. Jetty started this morning with, where, you know, what customers are really looking for is they want to realize the benefits of open architectures. And you know, there's a lot of talk in the game with those, but they want to see the results. And those results don't just mean something for them. I think they really mean a lot for the startup community in particular, because when these systems are less closed, there's real sets of APIs and SDKs to work with and get into systems that can be demonstrated quickly to show whether you're bringing a specific sensor, a signal processing technique, a fusion algorithm, other analytics. And we're serious about it, and we've got a lot of examples. We've done exactly that around, again, the maritime and airborne autonomy, ISR applications across multiple domains, command and control systems, where, you know, analytics are becoming an increasingly critical part to how the users realize the benefits and address future missions with those kinds of capabilities. Very top level again, but just again to give you a flavor of the kinds of work we're doing in the defense market, and happy to follow up with you on any of these things you see here. One more piece of the organization, though, I definitely want to touch on is on the next chart as well. Earlier this year, we closed on the acquisition of Dynetics, which is a really stellar R&D company based out of Huntsville. We have combined our legacy R&D focal point in the company called the Leidos Innovation Center, or the LINC, with Dynetics to now give us more than $1 billion of R&D reach. A lot of that in the DoD, but it also extends into civil markets. You know, through Dynetics, Leidos is now one of the 3 performers on the human landing system for NASA. So, you know, these kinds of solutions that we're venturing into and able to now, where we harness Dynetics and the LINC to go after that leading edge R&D, get us into prototyping, and then groups like defense and health and intelligence and civil, where we bring our long-term customer partnerships to bring that technology together. And again, LINC and Dynetics are not all about, you know, invented here only. They're constantly partnering outside, from academics all the way to, you know, of course, large partners seeking good arrangements with urban tech. So they're an important part of this equation too, and ones that we would certainly help connect with as we go forward. So just real quick then, in terms of our mechanisms, we're not really a one size fits all by any stretch, and you know, I'm not hearing that across the board anyway. But you know, we're about speed, scale, and security. How do we get capabilities in the hands of users quickly? How do we scale those capabilities, and how do we do it securely, so that they're products that they can use and put to use in real operational environments. So as you see here, there's a lot of mechanisms we do that. You know, everyone loves high TRL. That's great. We're happy to bring that there. But we work a lot with external partners in lower TRL applications, where we will, again, through the LINC and Dynetics now, go work together to go capture contractor R&D and perform on those type of activities. Use our vast number of OTAs to find the right kind of customers. So the range of TRLs are in play and worth discussing with us. IP, you know, again, Dr. Jenny mentioned, I think this morning, you know, your IP is critical to you. So is ours to us, right? So what's the right kind of answer? We have a great team of IP folks who find the right kind of arrangement to make sure that's suitable and you're protected for the long term. So you can go your way as long as, you know, as long as that's what if that's what you're looking for. And then of course partnerships all the way through IRAD and corporate investment from Leidos. We have many IRAD projects per year that include an external component. So it's always up for discussion as well. Again, kind of utilizing these airborne and maritime type of platforms that we own others to rapidly demonstrate and bring the capabilities in, whether they're ours or our external partners. So just real quick, then, how do you connect with Leidos? Our focal point for external technology, that's on the next one, Gunnar. Yeah, there you go. Our focal point for external technology is Padraig Maloney. He's our VP for external technology. He works directly for our corporate CTO. And then we're kind of networked within the technical leadership of the company. There's about 20 people like me that have an operation on the order of the hundreds of millions of dollars of total revenue. But there's about 20 of us. There's 5 group CTOs, 4 groups plus Dynetics and LINC, Padraig, and then the corporate CTO leadership. So within a group of less than 30 people, we interact very closely. We're constantly networking. Who's spoken to who? What the interest we found in talking to this company actually seems more like this. So it's 1 or 2 steps to go find the right person, even in health or civil, other parts of the company, through this CTO team we have to get the right folks. So look forward to hearing from y'all, whether it's Padraig or me, and we'd be happy to work with you and explore opportunities. Thanks, Will.
Awesome, Tim. Thanks for that story from Leidos. Great highlights. I thought it was super neat. You say you have your own fleet of planes. That was the thing. That was a cool thing I took away to test tech. But thank you very much. So we'll keep moving here. We're going to invite Andrea Chavez from Bell Flight, who I believe is here in the panel, all ready to go. So
hi there. Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Whew, okay, that's minor hurdle there was the visuals and everything in the audio. So thanks everybody for joining in. My name is Andrea Chavez. I'm a manager within the innovation team at Bell, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Bell. Previously, most people probably know Bell as Bell Helicopter. But we've rebranded, and we realized that we're not only just helicopters, we're also vertical takeoff and landing VTOL technology companies. So a few of our, kind of more notable and newer up and coming technologies I'm here to talk to you today about, and including the innovation team. Go to the next slide. So some of our products that you might recognize us from are, of course, V-22 and the H-1, Huey and Cobra. We have military, but not only military, we also have some commercial products as well. Most recently, the 505 single engine light, and we also are working on certifying our 525 aircraft, which will be the first commercial fly-by-wire helicopter. We also working on the V-280 Valor. Just won an Army contract for a down select for the FLRAA, so exciting to up and coming work for that. And then in the innovation team, where my team focuses on, we are looking at advancing the urban air mobility with solutions such as the Bell Nexus for human, either assisted or unmanned flight, and also the Bell Apt, which is our autonomous pod transport, or APT, which is a family of logistics fleet type pod transports that can go anywhere as light as 20 pounds and on upwards to 70 that are being flight tested now, and looking at even larger solutions in the future. Next slide. So as I mentioned before, the Bell Nexus, we unveiled it at CES a few years back, focusing on assisted and autonomous flight, as I mentioned before, advanced vertical takeoff and landing designs, the advanced propulsion, anything hybrid technology, including distributed electric propulsion and advanced battery technology for aerospace. And of course, vehicle health management for the safety aspects of that. For the Bell Apt, we're looking at advancing the situational awareness, detect and avoid, any of the software and automation that's going to be needed for getting that certified in the FAA and in the national airspace. It needs to be environmentally friendly. We're looking at adapting to customers' needs. So, not everybody has a perfect little box that needs to fit in the pod. There's going to be volume of things that need to be transported or whatever. So we are looking to accommodate to customer needs for that. And fleet management, anything that can, you're going to have numbers of these and you're going to want to know which ones to send out where and where everything is. So that's something that we're looking at as well in the future of the national airspace. So not only technology and hardware, but the software that's going to be needed to develop that as well. And then in innovation, we're also working with rapid prototyping, looking at composites and advanced materials and 3D printing, even metals. So, our thought is to fail fast and learn fast. That's the way we're going to rapidly learn and keep going. We got to simplify the avoidable things and thrill our customers. That is one of our mottos that we definitely want to keep everybody, demonstrate the impossible and keep us on the edge of the seats. So. And then, in innovation, as I mentioned before, for looking at this urban air mobility movement, we've got to digitize everything a little bit more, get the fleet management maintained for that. Anything that's going to be urbanizing things, we're going to be a lot closer proximity to where we've been before. So we're looking at advancing vertiports and solutions for the infrastructure. It's not going to be just at airports. And if we are going to be more urban, we're going to need to look at different spaces and also customer acceptance for that, making things quiet, safety, among few things that we're looking at as well. And then the electrification, of course, I mentioned before, in the aerospace world, weight is king. So getting the battery technology understood and advancing that, and also making it a safe, viable product is of paramount for us as well. And then the autonomy and AI, that will be, that comes along with it as well, and looking at the software advancements in our technology. And next slide. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to us. Some of our technologies that we're really looking at teaming with and interested in, as I mentioned before, kind of the advanced technologies, including rotors and drive system technologies, either making things lighter, more durable. We're looking at software, including autonomous features and AI and automation. We're looking at the distributed electric propulsion, including the battery technology, and cybersecurity is a newer one that we're also very interested in developing, and anything in the manufacturing, as I showed before, looking at advanced materials and processing for metals and composites. Thank you for your time. Please reach out to me. I'm Andrea Chavez again. There's my email. And then Shari Askew, she's helping with the supply chain management. Couldn't get it done without that team as well. So thank you so much for having me, and hand it back over to you, Will.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And I'll share, I think it's a cool transformation seeing Bell Flight and all the new technologies. I had an internship for Bell Helicopter in the Composite Center, and it was just helicopters, old school. So thank you very much for that. We'll go ahead and move on here to Booz Allen Hamilton. So we have a technology scout from Booz Allen Hamilton, which might be something that a lot of, breakthrough tech companies don't think of when you think of, why would it be valuable to talk to Booz Allen Hamilton, mostly known as a services company. But I think Travis will be able to share some light on kind of the stuff that he does in some interesting ways to get involved. So Travis, go ahead and take it away.
Sure, Will, thanks. And there will be 100% chance that my dog will do something that will interrupt this presentation, so apologies up front. So we want to get started here, like most people on the call, around what Booz Allen is doing for technology innovation, who we are, and what that means. Like Will stated, most of you know who we are as a 100-year-old company that we're solving complex missions for business, government, and military leaders through technology applications, right? One of the things that a lot of people don't know is the deep technical expertise that resides at Booz Allen Hamilton, whether those be data scientists, whether those be software developers, some other folks that are highly technical that help us deliver solutions to our customers, right? Or to our clients. And that's really what it's about. It's kind of the second point there. Anybody can sell technology, but our combination of mission understanding, our technology agnostic approach, which is where this applies, and consulting DNA get the best results for our clients. And so I did a little, shameless self-promotion there at the bottom. But we'll get into the meat of what it means for us at Booz Allen to innovate, how we interact with the startup ecosystem, who are some of the folks we interact with, how we make that work, and then ultimately, some areas that we might be interested in, as well as how you can get in touch with us. So if you wouldn't mind going on the next slide, Gunnar. So we're actively monitoring emerging technologies. We want to understand what's going on in the technology ecosystem and how those are relevant and applicable to use cases for our clients. So when I mentioned, lots of deep technical expertise and professionals at Booz Allen Hamilton that do a lot of heavy lifting, those are mainly in cyber, digital, and analytics. I gave some examples of pertinent topics that we look for, where we are looking to be helpful to our clients. And, ultimately we'll talk about how you can interface with us as a startup, whether that be a startup, an investor, to understand how to bring some of those to bear for our clients. And ultimately, like a lot of other folks that do innovation here as well, how we might incubate, accelerate, and do some different things and be able to be a partner, trusted resource in helping those use cases come to light. So the next slide, if you don't mind. So this is just a quick overview of some ecosystem partners we have in a very specific area, which is probably no surprise to anyone, Silicon Valley. Who we work with, we interface with these folks regularly to understand what technology frontiers are happening, what those horizons look like, where we can apply some of that to client use cases and problems, and be effective in impacting change, and also, whether it be more cost effective or more people effective, however that works out for the client. Ultimately, having the client be super satisfied and understanding where they go from there. Really just demonstrating the art of the possible sometimes is some of our biggest work. And you can go to the last slide, Gunnar, thank you. And so the way we like to interface with folks is we obviously go out and we look for things that we think will be trends and try to match that up with use cases that we know of, as well as try to find things, as I mentioned before, on the horizon. You can interface with myself, and my email is here on the slide. More than happy to sit down, have a quick conversation, and get you to the right person inside of the firm and go ahead and try to make that happen so that we can both, and everyone, clients included, get the best outcome. So thanks, Will.
Great, Travis, thanks for sharing that slightly different flavor of interacting with kind of the big defense contractors. Really appreciate it.
No worries.
We'll go ahead and finish up here with two of the biggest names when you think of defense contracting. And we'll finish up with Lockheed and BAE Systems. But first, we have Jason Huff from Lockheed Martin. It looks like we're all set to go. He's got a great background of the Golden Gate Bridge. So, Jason, whenever you're ready, go for it.
Yeah, not that I'm in San Francisco, but it was one of the stock ones. Obviously, anybody that uses Zoom knows that. So if you would actually go ahead and go to slide 3. So what I'm showing here is our typical legal approved pitch for SBIR, straight SBIR companies. I'll mix in comments around our ventures branch and other things as we go through, and especially on the panel later on, you'll get a better flavor for it. The reason I wanted to go with this pitch is it does give a very good overview, but also the contact information and the structure that you'd work with, I think is what you really want to know about, is how to interface with us and what does that look like. So just as a quick overview for those of you that are not familiar with our company, we got 4 business areas: aeronautics, planes, everything from big transport to fighters like F-35, et cetera. Missiles and fire control, as you can guess, that's missiles and fire control. So anything that shoots and blows up. Also, small unmanned aerial systems are housed in there, as well as special ops. Rotary and mission systems is what I call our cats and dogs business area. It's everything from ships to big radars to training and simulation, et cetera. So lots and lots of opportunities there that you might not expect from a company like Lockheed Martin. And then space systems is pretty much everything that is up in outer space or the data that is around that. So traditional large satellite GPS type of constellations, et cetera, is where we get into there. So go to the next slide. So just as a very quick overview, again, just of how we view working with companies like yourselves is, so we kind of look at you as the front end of research done by others. And so again, looking at small business innovation research in particular, 2.6 billion a year. We would look to partner with you, combine you in with our own IRAD, whether it be for Skunkworks, through Skunkworks or Advanced Technology Center or other of the R&D centers that are based around not just the US, but the globe, integrating you in with the work that we're doing in those places. And then we would potentially go after government money to further explore and develop the capabilities. And then we put you on our platforms. And again, we have F-35, Littoral Combat Ship, and large missiles. So again, just this is kind of just an overview of how we would see working together and the value that we see in you, in addition to universities and national labs. Okay, go on to the next one. Actually, go to the next one. So here's a much more detailed look. It's kind of an eye chart, but it's a much more, this is the cats and dogs business area I was talking about. And so you kind of get a feel for, again, the large systems integration that we would work in certain areas, whether again, radar systems, electronic warfare, all kinds of things, everything from space fence, which monitors space objects there, big ground vehicles, different Aegis battle management systems that you might see on cruisers, et cetera, training and logistics solutions. So this is a large area of growth for Lockheed Martin right now. And I know, Will, you had mentioned something in your note to me about Red 6, and this is exactly where they would plug in their technology. So training and logistics is a huge area of growth and need within within the military space. And so this is one of these areas where I could see a small business being able to bring new capabilities together. Again, how do we train warfighters, especially in some of the extreme situations that they're going to be in? How do we train them in unique ways that clearly we can't reproduce the situation that they would be in? Cyber ships and advanced technologies. I know we offloaded our cyber business to Leidos several years ago, but we still have a core of what I would call exotic cyber that's very strong still within us, and it's highly specialized but very exotic type stuff. And then again, back on the integration of the systems of systems approach that Lockheed is so good for, we have the littoral combat ship as well as directed energy and some other systems there. Sikorsky, we acquired Sikorsky a few years back. At the same time, we divested our cyber business, or that element of our cyber business. And so we, looking at helicopters, et cetera, and we got future vertical lift, which is very big on the horizon right now. And they're all, again, these platforms are holders of many, many enabling technologies. And kind of going into the comment that someone made earlier around open architecture, that is something that the customer is very, very much driving towards. And so that would enable us to insert new technologies much faster, cheaper, easier. So that's an area of interest that we have. And then again, sensors and undersea. This is a huge area of interest for us. And again, undersea being a highly specialized area because it's just so different. I mean, a lot of the spectrum technologies that are going around now just don't apply there. So highly specialized. Go ahead to the next one. So space systems, I won't dwell a lot here. A lot of this stuff is other than just what you might imagine to be the satellites themselves, is highly classified, and what you traditionally think of as large satellites for us is true, but we're also looking at different hybrids. You can see there in the hybrids of small as well, and so you can see there at the bottom right hand corner some subsidiaries that we've been working, or not subsidiaries, some partners that we've been working with over the years in developing new technologies and integrating to new technologies. So it's not just the systems, it's not just large systems like GPS and whatnot. It's a plethora of looking at these different platforms that are evolving, and microsats, for example, small companies are playing a huge part in that. So we're always looking for ways to either incorporate the new platforms or new sensing capabilities. All right, move on to the next one. And so this is the classic, I think, view of Lockheed Martin is the different planes. But this is just one of our business areas. And you can see here between F-35, F-16 is still going strong. The different training elements, and then C-130 and C-5. So again, lots of development still going on here on these platforms for development. And move on to the next one. And missiles and fire control, again, the thing that you would need to know here is that they're always looking for everything from electro-optics, new sensing system processors. The unique element here is that these things normally go on one-way trips, right? They're missiles, they blow up. And then there's also the special operations element of this, and a lot of small businesses gain their foothold through going through special ops, which are smaller numbers, highly exotic, different kind of procurement element to them as well. So this is a next. So next one. So I'm going to highlight this real quick. What you really need to understand here is I'm going to give you the contact information for Craig Owens and Arissa Buchan here in just a second. They would help you navigate through this. But if you look at the bottom line there, you can see how we have a lot of people covering different aspects of this into these different areas. So these are the people that will help you navigate and get into Lockheed Martin. All right, going to the next one. And so here is the actual contact information. Craig Owens is our corporate SBIR person, and Arissa Buchan helps him out. She is from supply chain. So if you reach out to either of these folks, they will be able to integrate you into this vast network that is Lockheed Martin. Craig Owens in particular is very outstanding and is recognized by the government. He's received numerous awards from the government for what he's been doing for SBIR over more than a decade. So that's all I have. How did I do on time?
Not too bad. Not too bad. I think we're keep drumming along here. Thank you very much. And again, really cool to see kind of the non-aircraft type stuff and demystify that for us. So thanks, Jason. We will finish up here with our final reverse pitch here from BAE Systems, and we have Bo Duarte here. So Bo, go ahead and take it away if you can. I see you in the panel here.
All right. Good afternoon. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Fantastic. If you want to pull up our slide deck.
Yep, we'll just click through.
Yeah, no worries. You can
There
go
we
to the
go.
top slide. So I am talking to you from Austin, Texas. I'm a technology development manager down here. And BAE Systems is a big international defense company, almost $30 billion in revenue with over 80,000 employees. But we are also an American, a U.S. defense company. You can go to the next slide, please. And we've got a special security agreement that allows us to carry on classified work. And we've got 3 sectors based in the U.S. I'll talk in detail about electronic systems, which is my sector in a second. But we also have work done in the intelligence and security sector that supports the IC, puts together some custom hardware solutions to support critical infrastructure within the country. We also have a platforms and services sector. So if you think the Bradley fighting vehicle, self-propelled howitzer, we do ship repair. We have naval guns and a wide variety of large platform-based solutions. But deep diving into electronic systems, and you can go to the next slide, we have got several business areas that, as the name implies, anything that's got trons that touches an aircraft or a land vehicle or even a ship, most likely is a product within our electronic systems line. And just going around the perimeter, you can see that we do flight controls and engine controls for both commercial and military airliners. We do EW systems for some very advanced aircraft, such as the F-22, the F-35, and the U-2. We've got a electric propulsion and power line. So we do hybrid propulsion systems for buses as well as for ferries. So a lot of commercial applications there. We do a lot of command and control work for satellite-based systems, as well as for various aerial applications. And then we do a lot of defensive systems, both for aircraft, so helicopter and fixed wing, as well as a few weapon system platforms. And then at the center of it all, we've got a group called Fast Labs, and that's our research and development arm, of which I am a part of. So if you think TRL 2 through 5 or 6, that's the type of work that we do to innovate and develop technologies that feed these businesses. And our focus areas in Fast Labs include advanced electronics, autonomy, cyber resilience, electronic warfare, as well as sensors and processing. And of late, we've been deep diving into areas such as electrification, undersea solutions for a lot of unmanned vehicles, small sats, digital arrays for RF communications and processing, as well as defect reduction for a lot of the production lines and manufacturing lines that we have to feed these products. Next slide. So we need help developing those good ideas and technologies to feed our business areas. And so we've developed an innovation model that's more akin to the commercial sector than your traditional defense sector, where you would spend a lot of IRAD, develop a lot of IP that you own, and then license that IP to the government customers. And our observation has been that that can often be slow, especially at the pace of innovation, and certainly just the threat development as well, which does not really conducive to lengthy development cycles. And so we developed an innovation model that looks fairly familiar to folks that might have seen this for companies like Exxon or for other corporate models, where we do not have a separate venture arm like some of the companies, but we do leverage third-party financing, whether that's government such as SBIR, STTR, or from a venture capital arm where we do technical due diligence for those technologies that feed the business areas I showed you on the previous slide. We do have some IRAD that we share with third parties in a subcontractor arrangement. OTAs have been mentioned as well, so other transactional authorities, where you need a traditional or non-traditional defense partner, whether that's university-based or commercial. We seek a lot of small companies that can fill that role to supplement technologies that we don't have to present a solution that's very attractive to the government. And so we will help small companies, whether it's through a letter of endorsement for a SBIR, whether it's as a subcontractor, and we're kind of the big brother working through the defense process for maybe companies that aren't familiar with that so much. It's also, arranging that third-party conversation with capital that could lead to a mutually acceptable solution. So next slide. We could ask, well, what TRL, what maturity do you look for in a startup or a small company? And the answer is, well, we're looking for ideas. And so some companies are very immature with great ideas. Others are more mature with products that can be fed directly into our business areas or product lines. And so this chart, you've got time on the x-axis, maturity on the y-axis. And so we support companies that run the gamut. We have relationships with accelerators and incubators, such as Techstars and Mass Challenge and the Capital Factory, where it's pre-seed companies, and we're helping find their market fit and identify defense applications potentially for some of their technologies. I mentioned the SBIRs and the OTAs, where you've got maybe a little bit more companies that just need some development to refine their solutions. And so we'll work hand in hand with those firms. And then as we get more mature, we move from fast labs into the business areas where maybe a TRL 6 or 7 application can plug directly into something that we're looking for. And so, like I said, we run the gamut. We're looking for speed. And so wherever that solution fits within the scale, we will work on that. As far as contact information, we do have a dedicated technology scouting group within Fast Labs that is led by Dr. Francesca Scapuzzo, who you will hear from on the panel shortly. And so we've got a few full-time folks as well as a lot of part-time folks throughout the country working in different product lines or business areas. And so I encourage you to take a look at this website and to reach out to us if you've got some research or technology in an area that in the slide. We love to hear from companies and see if we can find a fit to move forward to a solution that works for both of us. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Bo, great overview. Thanks for that. And I'll share, I think in my experience working in different geographic locations, I think you guys have a presence in most of the US hotspots, physical people, either part-time or full-time located there, correct?
That is correct. So I'm in Austin. Francesca is out of the Boston area, but we do have folks in DC and moving down to the south to Huntsville, Alabama too. So we're trying to cover the bases.
Got it. Cool. Well, thanks very much. And a huge thank you to all of these, corporate leaders from the defense sector kind of doing reverse pitches. Again, it's not normal for people in that position to do reverse pitches. It's not a normal thing. So huge props to them. I used to work for a small company called General Motors, and it was always a huge deal to go speak publicly with the approvals and working with all the stakeholders. And even just, you don't usually do that in a really large company because you're never in that position. So